from the book, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. It says, "The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. The old maxim, 'I'll sleep when I'm dead,' is therefore unfortunate. Adopt this mindset, and you will be dead sooner, and the quality of that shorter life will be worse." There is a topic I think we have been teasing for, I would say, months.
Well, it's just something we always talk about, probably just because it's so important.
I feel like we probably said we were going to do one of these near the beginning.
I feel like that was one of the first things we said we were going to do, but then we actually didn't.
I think that was on my initial list of episode of ideas for this podcast, was to do an episode all about sleep.
You revealed it so quickly. You should have had some build-up.
How much more build-up do you want?
I don't know. Okay, guys, that's it for this podcast. Put your comment what you think it is, and then we'll get back to you next podcast. So yeah, sleep.
Yeah, I'm astounded it's taken this long. It's so important. Like we say, it's one of the pillars, but it's kind of the pillar that the other two stand upon.
I would say being healthy, relating mostly to three things: sleep, food, and exercise. But like, if I had to two pillars, okay, and one excellent, I would probably choose sleep, and only have the other two be moderate, because I feel like it affects the other two a lot.
It really affects them significantly. Like, one of the amazing things that I learned in a book that I'm probably going to mention a lot, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. He actually says that sleep has more of an effect on how much you exercise and how well you eat than the reverse.
Yeah.
So like getting more sleep makes you exercise more, and getting more sleep will cause you to eat better.
I mean, just from personal experience, I'm sure like if, you only get like 5 hours sleep in a night, and then you wake up the next day, you're probably not like, I feel like eating like a bunch of fruits right now just throughout the
slightly
day and stuff. You're probably just like, well, I want like sweets or something for the energy, Yeah,
so I think the intention for this episode is to establish the fact that sleep is extraordinarily important. Maybe like scare the listeners a bit. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then to go through some tips of some general ways that you can improve your sleep. And then, of course, as always, relate it back to us.
What else would we relate it to? Some non-important thing? No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be
nothing really matters if it doesn't relate to the two of us, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's how you filter out the important. So in achieving that first point of the intention, I did actually want to like bring out a quote here.
Okay.
Which I'm amazed I haven't done before, from the book. It says, "The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life span. The old maxim, 'I'll sleep when I'm dead,' is therefore unfortunate. Adopt this mindset, and you will be dead sooner, and the quality of that shorter life will be worse."
Yeah, but I mean, it is true. You will sleep when you're dead.
No.
Yeah.
You'll lose consciousness when you're dead, but sleep is not the same thing as not being conscious.
You've got me on a technicality.
That I have.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a somewhat important or relevant technicality.
Being asleep and being dead are not the same.
Not that being asleep and being dead are not the same, but that being asleep is not the opposite of being conscious. So if you make yourself unconscious through, say, drugs, or like a lot of people will have a drink to try and get to sleep.
Oh.
Or clubbing of the head, that too, actually, yep. That's not the same thing as sleep. That doesn't give you the same restful properties that sleep does.
I don't know. I don't know if that's all you had to say about that, but I assume it comes from that a difference in like brain activity.
Yeah, exactly. It's annoying that I can't go into the neuroscience, but that probably makes sense in that I've never taken a biology course since like grade 10.
Yeah.
But that is exactly it. It's the brain activity that like the deep and the REM sleep, they do things in your mind that rejuvenate your body and make it significantly better.
As opposed to being knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's not able to do anything because your mind's still doing stuff while you're asleep.
I mean, dreaming and sometimes even like sleepwalking and stuff. So
not even stuff that you're moving. Like it's going through and processing your memories and your thoughts from the day and
Hmm.
filtering stuff out. It can even like be bringing back or like repairing things. But yeah, I think from there were a couple of other things. I quickly looked back through the notes that I made while I was listening to the book,
Hmm.
and there were like one or two or three really wacky statements that I thought were, I don't want to say significant, but they like surprised me.
Hmm.
It's things like if you wake up at 7 a.m. and then you're out driving at like 2 a.m., say just like coming home from something or other, that's the equivalent to being legally drunk in the amount that you are impaired. So just
Oh,
being
just how
awake
tired
that
you'd be.
long. Yeah.
Huh. I mean, that
Which
is 19 hours. And that would be what, like 2 or 3 drinks or something?
it's 0.08% alcohol, which I mean the number of drinks would depend on what you're drinking and who you are.
Probably for someone like around an average adult male size. I think that's like 2.5 drinks or something.
Maybe. And it also
Yeah.
depends on the time span of when you're drinking.
Yeah, it's true.
So it depends a lot, but like legally drunk, if you listener know how long or how much you have to drink to be legally drunk.
I kind of want to get a breathalyzer, just like obviously because I'm only 20, so I couldn't drive with any alcohol in my system right now. But just like if I'm having some drinks one night, I would want
I
to
think
just
you
blow.
could. Do you have a G?
In Ontario, you can't have any alcohol in your system if you're under either 21 or 25.
Oh, really? I thought you had to get like a G and then you're good.
No, it's pretty new, but it's an age
Oh,
limit
okay.
as well.
Never mind.
No, yeah,
That's probably good.
but like I would just want to see what it feels like to be the legal not allowed to drive.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting. I mean, you probably wouldn't feel too much because one of the amazing things he found in a study was that you can test people how cognitively impaired they are, like how badly they do at shit. But then you can also test on how badly they think they're doing at stuff or how impaired they think they are, and that's
Yeah,
completely different.
I imagine with sleep they probably think they're less impaired than they are, like more than alcohol.
I can't remember if they did a test where they tested how impaired you are both with alcohol and with sleep, but I would imagine they would both be. Definitely with sleep, people didn't understand how impaired they were, but I would imagine that applies to alcohol too.
I'm trying to think of any time I've woken up at 7 and gone to bed at 2, because there's definitely been times that's definitely happened, or at
Well, it's
least
just like it's just 19 hours of consciousness.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've had those exact hours a few times before. But the thing is, I think it's both been 7 to 2 and also alcohol in the system, so it's really hard to tell how impaired I actually am.
Yeah, just going off the top of my head, actually, I think they did have some statistics on that. In a simulation, people performed I'm gonna I'm gonna take a guess and just read the book if you actually want to like know the real answers, but like I'm pretty
Read
sure
a
I'm right
book, you
here.
viewers, I mean listeners.
Or listen to an audiobook if you're a fan of
Ooh,
podcasts.
ooh,
That's what I did.
yeah.
Good time. I think it was that with the sleep impairedness, you were like 6 times worse in the simulator. And then when you add alcohol in there, it's like 30 times worse. Because
Holy,
it's like a compounding effect, yeah.
yeah, that's significant.
So it's not like adding to effects, it's like multiplying to effects.
I see. That's pretty crazy.
If you don't have sleep and you have some alcohol, it's a bad time.
Yeah, sometimes it's a good time, but
Very true. Yeah, as long as you don't have to do anything, I don't know, cognitively demanding, like operate a motor vehicle,
yeah,
you should be good.
or heavy machinery of any kind. So yeah, like I can say with the being awake for 19 hours at a time in high school, I would say between grades 8 or 9 up until the summer between first year and second year, I consistently got, I would say, on average 5 to 6 hours of sleep per night, which is not enough at
Not
all.
even slightly. Yeah.
I mean, actually, during the summer between grade 8 and 9 and 9 and 10, I think I got more because I was doing all my growing. But during the school year, so for the majority of the time, I'd get like 5 or 6 hours per night. And I didn't realize like how little that actually was because it was completely my normal. That was just my baseline until in the summer between first year and second year, I was like, right, I need to get back into exercise. Like I want to get into weightlifting and like gymming. I've never done that before. And so I started like getting into all this like how to maximize your health and performance. One thing I saw was everywhere it's like get 8 hours of sleep per night at least. Like it was stressed everywhere and I'm like, damn, might be important actually. I guess I'll try it. And then in the first like couple months of getting 8 hours of sleep per night, I felt like so amazing. It was ridiculous. and that, like I felt like an actual superhero. And then it just like became like normal to get like 7.5
You're just
to 8.5.
normal to feel like a superhero.
Yeah, I just feel like a god. No, but no, then it just became like normal. But it's just because I didn't realize how gross it was. Like I was feeling to be constantly overtired until I finally consistently got 8 hours of sleep per night. And then now, if I get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep per night, I'll feel like actual garbage. And then I'm looking back and I'm like, is this how I felt all the time? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's that hedonic adaptation. It'll get you.
That's a word. What does that mean?
Hedonic adaptation is the concept that you just get used to what's going on in your life. So it can be used with like, say you're used to a certain, like say you get a promotion and you start earning more. Eventually that excitement will fade and you'll just get used to it. That'll become your new baseline. Or you get accepted into like a new school. Eventually that'll, just become your baseline. Or you start getting like a different amount of sleep. That'll be your baseline.
Hopefully more.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Hedonic. Does that come from like hedonist?
That's a good question. Let me just real quick check that out. Of, relating to, or marked by pleasure.
Hedonism. Yeah, okay.
Of or relating to hedonism or hedonists. Oh, what's hedonist?
Hedonist is the school of thought where good or bad are defined by the amount of net pleasure they bring into or bring out of the world. Often misinterpreted a lot.
I can imagine. That sounds interesting, though.
But that's another podcast.
Maybe. Honestly, probably will be. The hedonic adaptation very often talked about in the well-being course.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Huh. But yeah, the other thing I was going to say is on sleep deprivation, the interesting thing is there isn't a lot of research on long-term sleep deprivation. Like say, I think it was nothing less than 4, 5, or 6 hours in the long term, because it's seen as unethical to deprive people of that much sleep for a long period of time, like more than 3 or 4 days.
Seems kind of dangerous.
But the amazing thing is people do that to themselves all the time. There are people out there right now going, I only need 4 hours of sleep. Like I've met these people before and it's like, no, I know for a fact you don't.
At universities, you meet so many people like that. They're like, yeah, I sleep like 2 to 6 or 2 to 7 like most days. And like I just don't, my body just doesn't need that much sleep, like my regular running is like 5 hours of sleep. I'm good. And yeah, both of us, I imagine, have the same reaction. It's like in my brain, I'm like 1% of me is like, maybe you're some absolute genetic freak that actually doesn't need sleep. But then 99% of my brain that isn't that part is like, you just have never gotten enough sleep. And so you don't know what it's like. Or like maybe like you've never gotten enough sleep like during the school year or whatever. So you don't know what it's like.
So it is possible if someone says they only need 6 hours at the right, but it is statistically extraordinarily unlikely. Like one of the things he mentioned in the book too was that there is a researcher who has an open invitation to anyone who says they can function just as well on less than something like 7 or 8 hours of sleep to come to his lab and actually get tested.
Yeah. He's like, maybe you're just a real actual mutant. I don't know.
But odds are, no.
Odds are you're not. Odds are you've just gotten very used to sleep depriving yourself.
Yeah.
Well, one interesting thing with school, like one reason a lot of people give for extreme sleep deprivation, like going 2-3 days without sleep,
Mhm.
is exams. But yeah, but
Oh,
so
yeah, that's
many
funny.
so many resources show that you'll likely do better if you sleep and then study in your waking hours, your regular waking hours, and sleep a healthy amount,
Mhm.
than if you just spend all your sleeping hours studying as well.
If you are not getting enough sleep, your mind cannot properly learn.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Like you might get a higher mark, for instance, if let's say your exam's Saturday and it's Friday afternoon, like let's say it's Saturday at 10 a.m. and it's Friday afternoon and you haven't been to the course ever, you haven't
Ooh,
opened the
yeah.
textbook, then you might do better in the short term for that one exam if you stayed up all night and read it,
Hmm.
versus like if you only studied for like 2 hours and just then had like 2 hours worth of knowledge versus maybe like 12 hours worth of knowledge or something.
Yeah.
But you won't retain that at all and it won't like be part of your long term.
I agree. In that situation, yes, it's the right call to stay up. But if you're getting yourself into that situation on a regular basis, you're doing school wrong.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you're in a situation where it actually makes sense to pull an all-nighter, then try not to be in that situation.
Then, like, legitimately, you need to think your study habits or strategies or like going to
Yeah.
class or whatnot.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole degree as a whole, you need to rethink it.
Yeah. Which is also another episode, kinda. One of the early ones.
Very true. Yeah. Link in the show note.
Ooh.
One thing I do want to say that I just thought of, I don't know if this has any merit or basis or whatnot. You're talking about people at university. I was thinking people at university often seem to have so much drama and whatnot when I talk to them, just
Yeah.
on the whole. And I was just thinking that one of the facts of sleep deprivation is it really exaggerates your emotions or it amplifies them
Huh.
quite a bit. So you can actually almost induce like bipolar disorder in someone by depriving them of sleep. Like it makes your positives really extreme and your negatives really extreme. So I was thinking, is all this drama just people who don't have enough sleep, whose emotions are going off the charts?
I mean, who's to say?
Maybe. I
Or
don't I don't
I'm to
know.
say yes. No. I mean, I'm sure it's a part of it. Maybe that's why I never get involved in anything and I have like the emotional display of a stone.
Possibly. Cuz like people will talk to me and I'll just sit there thinking to myself, how the did you get yourself into this situation?
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, well, if sleep deprivation is as much of an inhibitor as you say, then I guess imagine being drunk for like 30% of your waking hours.
That's also true. That's a good point.
So you would get into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That
No,
you would
definitely.
have some weird interactions, like 30-40% of your waking hours.
Man, combine that fact with the fact that your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed, the part of the brain responsible for like long-term planning and decision making.
It isn't fully developed owing until like 25 or something.
Yeah, I think it's like 25 that's fully developed. That
Yeah.
completely explains why shit gets crazy at
Yeah.
college campuses. It's like you don't have the ability to plan for the long term and you're also basically drunk and bipolar.
That's a situation and a half.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Wow.
Short-sighted, drunk, and bipolar. Oof.
Yeah. That's not fun.
One thing that used to be a like massive reason, it still is from time to time, but very rarely now. Reason that I would stay up in high school and in sometimes university was just like screens. And you know how they say like,
Mhm.
oh, screens like mess with your brain, whatever, like keep you more awake and like why you've got those blue light filtering glasses. Yeah, I would just be like actually watching something like on my computer, on my phone, like a movie or
Yeah.
something like that. So that like literally because I was watching something, I would still be awake. But that is something that also once I actually started tracking it, like, okay, let's put my phone away. I mean, at the very least, right before I go to bed, which is about like 8 and a bit hours before I plan on getting up. That improved my sleep like crazy. I used to like if in like grade 11 or 12 or something, I would have taken a really long time or like had difficulty falling asleep if I couldn't just like watch a YouTube video until I fell asleep. But now 5-10 minutes after it hits the pillow, I'm like off.
Yeah, no, the devices and screens and whatnot are a really awful combination because there's a lot of bad things with the blue light that's emitted from the screens, as well as just from really cool lighting in your house.
Cool lighting. What do you mean?
Like blue lights. Not
Oh,
like blue, but like more blue tint, kind of like a surgery room as opposed to
oh yeah.
a nice cozy
Oh, like
library looking thing.
cold, cool.
Yeah, cold, cool. Yeah, as opposed to a warm light.
I thought you meant like interesting, like very interesting lights in your house. It's like, yeah.
The more interesting the lighting is in your house, the worse you'll be able to sleep. Won't be able to stop staring at those damn
Yeah.
lights.
You'll just be awake like, wow. Ooh,
IKEA
look
makes
at
some
that.
cool
That's cool.
stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that bad combination of blue light as well as a lot of the time people are up on their social medias, which just creates a lot of fear and anxiety.
Can I just say, if you willingly put bluer tinged lights as like your permanent light fixtures, you're a little bit strange because recently our kitchen light bulbs went out, so we had to order new ones online because we didn't want to go into the store for it.
Yeah.
And so the only ones we had laying around for the time being were like quite blue,
Mm-hmm.
like surgery hospital lighting or like that sort of thing. And it was so gross for like the few days we had it. I tried to avoid turning the light on as much as possible because I'm like, ugh, I feel like I'm in a morgue.
Yeah, and it has a really drastic impact on your sleep too. Like that blue light pushes your circadian rhythm back like 2 or 3 hours.
I mean, makes sense. If you feel like you're in a morgue, you don't feel like sleeping.
And like it mimics the light from the sun, and that just sends signals to your body to just keep going because it's still daytime.
Blue light does.
Yeah.
That's interesting because one reason I don't like the blue light fixtures is because I find it doesn't look like natural light that comes in. Like, I find it looks more artificial to me than just like yellow light bulbs or like what's going on here.
I don't know. I feel like I should get into some description of wavelengths or whatnot, but that would be pseudoscience that I can't remember. But I'm guessing that's something like it.
The sun's light is composed of all wavelengths in the electromagnetic spectrum, including blue and ranging all the way over to red. So then those cancel each other out. So it just looks yellow, versus the actual yellow lights are just in the yellow spectrum. So it doesn't.
Or isn't the light from the sun more like a blue light? Like when you go outside, it's more, or it's closer to what a blue light, a cool light would be.
Yeah, I'm just thinking when light's coming in your windows.
Yeah, that seems more cool.
Maybe that's because in the kitchen face is west, so the only time light comes in is in the is afternoon, evening, sunset. So it's like the sunset light, so it looks really weird to have like a bunch of blue light there.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how the wave to color spectrum works or whatnot, but was blue light a faster or had a shorter wavelengths than red light or orange light?
Wait, okay. Let's figure this out. So blue stars are the hottest and red are the coldest. So so there's more energy, I guess, in blue. So it's probably quicker wavelengths. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, that's my guess as well.
Shorter wavelengths.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Oh, we're so smart.
I know, right? So good. So good. This is what university teaches you.
Yeah.
Or high school too, maybe.
I think I learned that in high school.
Yeah, I think I did too. But yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a guess here that the blue light is like the sun when it's right overhead. It's got these really quick wavelengths, and somehow that sends a signal to your body to wake the hell up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense that it would be more like overhead because sunrise and sunset get red and purple and stuff.
Yeah, and that actually makes sense that we would take that as a signal to start winding down or winding up for the day with warmer light, because that means the sun is farther away.
Yeah, okay.
Or farther
down the horizon.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit farther away.
Maybe? Depends on where you're in the rotation, right? Because if the whole Earth is moving closer, I don't
That's
know
true.
if the spin would matter.
Technicality.
Again, technicality, yeah. I'm sure people care.
Here, yeah. Here's a sleep question for you though that I was discussing with my girlfriend. Shout out, because she likes those. There you go.
Nice.
But she and I both noticed. She brought it up, but when she said it, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's true." Like consistently, she finds that if she sleeps, let's say 11 to 7 in the morning, she'll feel much more refreshed than if she was to sleep like 2:30 to 10:30, even though those are both 8-hour spans.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And I agree with that. I find the same in myself as well. Did they mention that in the book or anything like that?
To give context to people, I think I listened to this like a year ago, and I glanced through the notes, and I remembered a bunch of it, and I have some guesses. I mean, there's a possibility that at that time you'd still have more sleep debt accrued that you haven't like been able to get through.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, apparently if you don't get the amount that you're supposed to, which I'm just gonna say is probably around 8 hours. It was kind of frustrating. He never gave an actual statistic, and each of the studies kind of defined it differently, what a good amount of sleep is.
Yeah.
But I think about 8 hours sounds right. The general guideline of 7 to 9 seems to be around what people define as good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting less than that, it just keeps on piling up, and it will impair you more and more and more as it piles up and up and up. There's no like upper limit that people have found to the amount that you accrued. So
I guess the upper limit is just like dying.
That's true. Yeah. Eventually you would just die from not sleeping.
But that sounds interesting. What you said, there were a bunch of studies for like what the ideal amount of sleep is and whatever. How did each of these define like full amount of sleep, like fully rested? Because you said it was different. But what were those definitions?
I think it was usually defined in terms of a length of sleep, of actual sleep time, not just like in bed time. They can actually like measure it pretty well when you're sleeping.
Like Fitbit?
Much better than Fitbit.
Yeah.
I know Fitbit probably isn't like the most laser precise thing, but it's good enough for me. But they can actually figure out exactly when you're sleeping.
With your brain.
But I think most of the studies, some of them did define it as 7 hours being the good category, but others defined it as 8 or 9 or so. But it was usually in that range.
7.5 is the minimum where I would say I can wake up feeling rested. And I would say 8 is the minimum where I wake up feeling good / well rested.
Is that like time in bed kind of thing?
No, it's time like asleep. Like I would probably, in that circumstance, I would probably, when I'm falling asleep, look at the clock and it says like midnight. And then I would probably like sit and think for a bit, and then I would wake up. And right as I wake up, I would look at the clock and it says like 8:30. So then I would probably infer that I'd been asleep around 8 hours in that case, because I fall asleep pretty quickly. So
yeah, probably. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that people give themselves at least an 8 hour sleep window.
Yeah,
at minimum.
Ideally 8.5.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you can actually get your total amount of sleep up. One of the other things that I just thought of that I don't know if that actually makes any sense or not is maybe it's that something to do with how, as you change when you're sleeping, your circadian rhythm starts to change to try and match that.
Yeah.
It can only change by like an hour a day.
That's more than I expected, to be honest. Nocturnal in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is very rough and hard to get to, but
I know someone right now who, because they're off university, is sleeping like 8:30 to 4:30, like AM to PM.
8:30 a.m. to I know someone who's basically gone all the way around.
Yeah, that's 100% nocturnal right there.
Yeah. No, like that's halfway to going all the way around. I know someone who has gone from normal to nocturnal and has come back again.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it. Then you don't even have to stay up for a long amount of time or anything.
Yeah, you just keep on sleeping in until you make it back to like a normal point.
Yeah.
Which sounds so nice. That's the great way to do it.
Would that not be the strangest thing ever? Because in coming back around, they would have had to wake up and start their day at like 2 a.m. one day and be like,
Yep.
this is fine, I guess.
It's just
I
how it
actually am
goes.
fully rested. So, didn't you say a few days ago you woke up like crazy early to test that waking up crazy early thing we talked about last podcast?
Oh, man. And it was beautiful.
Really?
It was a great couple days. Yeah.
Oh, you did it for a couple days.
Yeah. I was trying to wake up at 4 a.m.
Mhm.
and I really enjoyed it, honestly.
Please tell your experience.
I would get up in the morning and then I would work out for a while, take a shower, and then like learn for a little bit, spend some time on self-development, just going through the course and whatnot. And then around when the sun came up, I'd go out for a nice walk and then I'd come back, eat, and get started on work and whatnot for the day. And it just felt so good to just be up and getting a bunch of stuff done and feeling so productive before I consider like the regular day starting.
When did you have to go to sleep for that?
Yeah, so for that, I was trying to aim for like 7 p.m.
Like in bed at 7 or asleep at 7?
like in bed.
Okay, so then you probably sleep around like 7:30, 7:45.
But
something
the
like that.
hard thing was before then, I'd been sleeping more like, I think I was up to like midnight or 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
So this was a big shift. And the first day I did take a sleeping pill just because I figured, you know what, this is basically like jet lag.
I mean, it would have taken around 5 days to fully shift your circadian rhythm. So that is pretty much like jet lag. That's like between here and Great Britain.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as always with the sleeping pill, you're not actually fully rested feeling afterwards, but you know, it worked. It got me started.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to ever actually get to like starting to get to bed around like 7 or 8 p.m. And I'm unfortunately not still trying to get up at 4 a.m. because as I was slowly able to move my getting to bed time earlier, I was accruing more and more sleep debt because I was getting up at 4 a.m. and I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is a beautiful start. Like the first couple days, amazing. Great. But then I just got too tired.
It would never feel natural to me to go to sleep while the sun's still in the sky.
Yeah, I think I'd have to like start putting a blanket over the window because the sun kind of gets through the blinds a little bit.
You could try doing that in the winter when it gets dark at like 4:30.
That's true, yeah.
Then it would feel like pretty natural, or at least way more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Sun's already been down for like 2.5, 3 hours. So you're like, yeah, it's bedtime.
That's true. Yeah, it would work very well in the winter. But yeah, it was just so cool in the morning to be able to get up and just do stuff with like no pressure feeling. It didn't feel like I had any pressure on me because no one else was up and I could just do whatever kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had stuff I wanted to do, but
like no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just no expectations.
I was just sitting there having a great time. Yeah.
How did you like have your regular like coffee around the same time, or did you shift that earlier by like 4 or 5 hours as well?
Yeah, I shifted that forward. I haven't actually been having much coffee lately. Or most days I don't have coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
We've switched then. Whenever I'm living at home for a long amount of time, I usually I find it hard not to drink coffee just because we drink a lot here.
Oh, it's so hard to not indulge in basically everything when you're at home.
It's easier for me to not have everything because for like 4 months of the year ish, when I'm like on co-op here, then I live here, so it's like semi-regular to live at home still. Mm-hmm. But it's just the coffee because somebody else is making it and I'm just being offered it. I'm like, yeah, okay. So now I'm drinking like a regular like 2 cups a day.
Man, home is both great and so intense. because
Yeah.
it's such a like large amount of like coffee, alcohol, food, like and great quality food that I'm not used to.
I feel like the alcohol and the food might be because of the holidays. That's usually
That's
when you're home.
true.
Yeah.
That that adds to it a lot.
Yeah. I would say I have less alcohol at home, except for Christmas. Christmas is something else, but
It goes from like 0 to like I've never had a breathalyzer or anything, but I feel kind of fairly
100%.
tipsy. Yeah.
100% alcohol. Yeah.
Pretty high up there.
I would say, like, and when it's not holidays or anything, and I'm just living here because I'm working here, I would say I have drinks more often in the week, but less amount per day. So, like, instead of only drinking one day in 1 or 2 weeks, and then having like 5 drinks that night or 6 drinks that night, instead I would drink probably like twice a week on average, but only have 1 or 2 each
Mm.
time. So it evens
Yeah.
out to pretty much exactly the same on average.
Speaking of coffee and alcohol, let's get into some tips on sleeping better.
Yes. Drink Red Bull and vodka right before bed and you'll sleep amazingly.
False.
Yeah. And you might have some heart palpitations.
It was interesting. He did actually include in there the half-life of caffeine in explaining its effect,
Oh,
which is apparently on average 5 hours.
that seems about right.
And that can change from person to person, of course. If you have like really high metabolism and you're young, you can get through it a little bit faster. But
Yeah. Because I drink coffee around 9:30 and then
I thought you were saying like PM for a second there. And I'm like, that's pretty late, mate.
like, what the hell? That's weird.
But in the AM. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I actually did know a girl who every day would have a coffee before bed at like 11. And I
Huh.
thought that was a very weird behavior.
That's odd. Like a full non-decaf or whatever?
Like, yeah, fully caffeinated, like a regular
Yeah.
coffee.
Like decaf still isn't great because it still has some caffeine in it, but
Yeah. Like
understandable.
sometimes after dinner I'll like crave a decaf or something. But I would say I have one around like 10 a.m., 9:30 or 10 a.m. and then one in the afternoon at like between the hours of like 2 to 4.
Okay.
And I sleep around midnight every night. So it seems
Yeah, the general rule of thumb I hear is like not before 3. That wasn't from the book. That's just in general what people
yeah,
say. Sorry, not after 3.
not or not before 3 a.m.
True.
Yeah. Between
Yeah.
3 to 3. So you should have all of it.
Yeah, that is not wrong.
Or 3 to 3, which is absolutely wrong.
Yeah. Very wrong.
But yeah, and I think I probably have a pretty fast caffeine metabolism. I don't know. Because I find it it takes a lot of caffeine or like a lot I mean the only way I have caffeine is either coffee or tea.
Don't just eat the beans.
It would take a lot for me to feel like, wow, after drinking like too much tea or too much coffee. Usually I like barely notice the effect. I just drink it because I like the taste.
I've been drinking a fair bit of tea as well, and I usually follow more or less the same of what you're saying. Maybe like
Hmm.
1 or 2 extras in the middle there, depending on the
Yeah.
day, how I'm feeling. I figure with tea, the caffeine's less, so
And yeah, sometimes I'll have like a third coffee if like I had one at like 1:30 and then my dad's like, "Hey, I went by Tim's and got you this." And I'm like, "Ah, okay." And then I would say I feel more energetic, but then I just do like go for like an hour-long walk or like workout or something. And then by the time it's my like 11 or 12 when I go to sleep, then I feel normal. Haven't yet tried to have like a coffee before bed. So,
yeah, that's an odd move. I've heard of coffee naps, but not before bed.
yeah. Coffee naps are good in rarity.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Just because I think if you're in a situation where you need to nap every day, then you might just want to get more sleep.
No, I think you should be napping every day, really.
I mean, if you're Roger Federer, I guess.
If you're able to nap every day, I think that you should be. Oh man, I'm such a hypocrite right now. I could totally be napping every day, but I'm not.
Really? I find for my routine, so my day, I much prefer not napping every day because I associate that with being well rested. Because if I'm in the routine of napping every day, then I find like I really need that nap, which I don't like because if it's in the middle of the day, then stuff can come up and like then maybe one day in a week you don't get your nap, and then you feel like absolute garbage through the rest of the day if you don't get it. So I find for me, I associate being more well rested with just getting like your full amount that you need at night, and then like you don't have to like worry about blocking off this amount of time in the day to like absolutely need to be nap time.
Yeah, but the thing is that according to the data, apparently napping is correlating with living a lot longer.
Hmm.
Like there have been some studies on, I think it's a couple of the islands in and around Greece who still nap in the middle of the day.
Like siesta?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they'll live significantly longer on average
Hmm.
than anybody else.
I got a few centenarians in my immediate ancestry, so
Hey, there you go.
I'm banking on the genes.
Got them good genes.
Hopefully I
Maybe.
got those ones. It's probably also a lifestyle. I'm guessing a lurking variable is lifestyle, because
Mm,
stress, is a big killer. It like increases the risk of so many health conditions. And
yeah.
I imagine you're leading quite a stress-free lifestyle if it's conducive to being able to nap every single day in the day versus like a high stress lifestyle. One side effect of that would be not being able to take naps in the day ever. I would like some looking into of lifestyle stress as a lurking variable there.
I can't remember if they studied as well the mainland. I think they did, because there was a time, I think within the past 20 or 30 years, when basically all of, I'm going to say it's Greece, went from napping in the middle of the day to having an economy that required them to work the regular like 9 to 5.
Shit economy, you mean?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that was a study that correlated between those two. So it's like the same people and jobs and stuff, just a change there.
Yeah. I imagine there would be a lot of stuff that came with that though, to needing to work 9 to 5, that like you'd be more stressed in general, and like, you'd maybe have less time to
Possibly. Yeah.
exercise or all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we should definitely read the study.
So what conclusions can we draw from this sleep analysis?
Well, we said that it's bad if you don't sleep. You shouldn't be driving if you haven't had much sleep, or if it's been a while since you
Being
sleep.
awake for 19 hours.
Yeah.
Which, when you say it, doesn't sound crazy.
But if you are awake longer than 16 hours, that's the point at which your mind starts to degrade.
Then 16 hours is like the exact like you
Yeah.
to get 8 hours of sleep, you'd be awake exactly 16 hours every day.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're approaching the time at which you should be sleeping such that you can get 8 hours of sleep a day,
If it's literally past your bedtime,
yeah, you should go to bed.
you definitely need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And if you say you don't, then you might be lying to yourself by accident.
Yeah. Get warmer colored lights. Don't be using your phone before bed. Pick a time when that goes off. Don't be drinking coffee after like 3 or 4. Don't work in the evenings. That's something that I struggle with.
That's something that it will probably improve your sleep, but it'll also just improve your like not feeling overworked.
Yeah, it's something that I have to work on a lot more. It's both being more intentional and prioritizing with the work that I do. So I actually like get stuff done at the time at which I'm supposed to be getting stuff done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As well as trying to block off times for not working or for relaxing.
Which sounds funny, but it
But it's very necessary,
yeah.
because working too late, or especially if you're working all the time, is also very conducive to like anxiety. And when you're stressed about anything, or if you're just stressed about getting sleep, that stops you from getting sleep as well.
That's something I've heard a lot of people say, like for instance, turning their clock so they can't see it from their bed, because if they're like calculating how much sleep they'll get if they fall asleep like in 10 minutes, and then they're like, that's like I better fall asleep right now or I'm not going to get enough sleep, and then they're trying to fall asleep so hard that it like makes them nervous and stuff.
Yeah, so I do that pretty much all the time, and it's very frustrating. And from what I've heard, that is really one of the big parts of any sleep condition. And we probably should have said this earlier. If you do have serious problems with sleep, go to one of them like sleep therapists. Apparently, they're fantastic.
Somebody who has some kind of actual medical qualification,
True. Yeah.
not just guys on the internet.
We've got you.
Yeah.
No, but like actually, apparently they're super helpful. Look into it. But one of the things is that apparently what a regular person will do if they wake up in the middle of the night and they see that it's, say, like 2:30 a.m., they go, oh shit, it's 2:30. I'm just going to go back to sleep.
I'm going to identify myself as that regular person.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it's exactly what I do. And I rarely wake up in the night. So,
Whereas someone who has a lot of anxiety or problems with sleep will wake up and go, oh shit, it's 2:30 a.m. If I don't get back to sleep right now, I'm not going to have enough sleep. And if I don't have enough sleep, I'm not going to be rested enough for the drive to work, and I could crash. And I'm also, when I'm going to get to work, it's going to cause me to be tired and perform suboptimally. Maybe I won't be able to talk right. It's just this whole thing. And that stress, of course, sends the shot of adrenaline into your body that just wakes you up completely.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, this is exactly what I didn't want.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the worrying about the sleep that causes you to just spiral. So learning how to deal with anxiety is also very good.
Just life lesson. Helps literally every aspect of your life, probably.
Very much so, yeah. I guess the couple other things I would say, if you're around test time or you really want to get a good night's sleep, don't drink that day. Alcohol, because that more knocks you out than actually lets you sleep.
Yeah, like you will be unconscious for 8 hours, but you won't be rejuvenating.
Yeah, it inhibits all the good stuff that is supposed to happen while you're sleeping. So you're not going to be particularly restful when you get up.
Although, when I'm sick, like if I have like some kind of like a sore throat or something, what I'll make before bed will be a cup of chamomile tea or like some sort of sleepy herbal tea, usually chamomile, because that I find does the job.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tablespoon of honey, a shot of lemon juice, shot of whiskey. That will make you sleep like an absolute baby. Like maybe it's because it's not that much alcohol, and it's also got the like other good stuff in it. And obviously, you don't have it every day, but I find that like if I have one of those before bed when I'm sick, I feel very good.
How much whiskey was that you said?
1 shot, and not a generous shot, obviously. Trying to sleep here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know, I might try that.
It's called a hot toddy.
That sounds absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Though he does say that just alcohol in general is not a good idea for sleeping.
Yeah. This is not a daily solution.
Yeah.
But
it was actually kind of funny. The advice that he did give, if you still wanted to drink throughout the day, but have it get out of your system by the time you're sleeping, is to drink when you wake up in the morning. It wasn't serious advice.
For? Wait, that was serious advice?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay.
That was his joking advice.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, what? Who wants a beer with breakfast? No one.
But like that's legitimately the only solution to drinking and getting enough sleep or getting a good quality sleep.
Huh.
So really the solution is to not drink if you're trying to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, just a life thing. Drinking in moderation is usually best. You don't need to absolutely give it up and become Mormon.
Yeah, just be chill about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the most important part of sleeping. Be chill about everything.
Yeah, that's very true. It's the frustrating part. The more you try and force it, the less you're able to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, God damn it, if I could just push the button like on my computer and it just goes to sleep, that'd be great.
Yeah. You still need that mod.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, so I hope this has been helpful for if any of our listeners are struggling from getting enough sleep, or if they didn't know they were struggling not getting enough sleep, but they've discovered that they most likely are not a mutant that can run on 5.5 hours of sleep every night. Then hope this helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just try and prioritize sleep a little bit more. Put in a couple of the tips we gave. Actually, one really easy tip that I didn't cover. If you do have control over the temperature of your house, drop it like a degree or two Celsius at night?
Yes. Okay. I love sleeping in a cold room. Like even during winter, I sleep with my window open 24/7, like 24/7 365.25 because I find sleeping in like a super cold room is like even 15 degrees or below is just like when you've got a good blanket, the most relaxing thing ever.
Yeah, I can't do like 15 and below because it just destroys my skin. Like it gets all dry and cracked.
Okay, fair.
But your body actually needs to decrease its temperature by about a degree Celsius, I think, in order to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So by making it colder, you're helping that along.
I totally get that because, like, I find if I'm like very warm when I'm falling asleep, unless I just came in from the cold, then it's nice. But like, if I'm like very warm under my covers, I find it really hard to fall asleep.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's just super easy. If you have control over the temperature in your house, just change it. Doesn't require like basically any effort from you. And it's like boom, slightly easier to sleep. Just a couple hot tips for y'all.
So yeah, I hope all these things taken at a relaxed approach can help with if anybody's struggling, whether they know it or not, with the amount of sleep they get, and maybe try to implement some or all of these.
Yeah, make sure right now in this current time period, it's very important to stay healthy, and sleep is one of the most important parts. So make sure you get it.